From Everybody Studios, we're jumping off the pages of SouthPark Magazine as we bring the stories to life that make up the art and soul of Charlotte. This is SouthPark Says with Krisha Chachra. So pull up, turn it up, and take a seat. We're talking travel and luxury tourism. Are you still waiting to book that last-minute trip? Well, you don't want to miss these tips. This is episode 7 of SouthPark Says with Krisha Chachra. My guest today is Kayleigh Ruller, a fellow food and travel freelance writer, and also someone who has a full-time job in the luxury travel marketing space. Kayleigh, thank you so much for being here today at Everybody Studios. We're so happy to have you at SouthPark Says.
I am so happy to be here. This is such a fun surprise. I love that we're rolling with it.
Yeah, we don't have anything scripted. We just decided last minute because of this summer that we just wanted to have a conversation and talk about travel, which is the best time to talk about it.
It is the best time to talk about it. It is the best time to do it. And I love talking to other journalists and other writers. I think it creates such beautiful grounds for conversation. So I'm so excited to dive in, and thank you for thinking of me.
Yes, of course. I mean, you had a great article in SouthPark Magazine this month. This is the July issue of SouthPark Magazine 2025 about cocktail bars in the South. So we'll get to that. But I wanted to find out, first of all, just a little bit about you and your background, because it's always fun, like you said, to talk to fellow journalists, especially those that have the lens of writing through food, which we love, which we need.
Who doesn't love?
And travel, which we all aspire to do, and we do in many different ways. So let's talk a little bit about your background. Now, you're not from Charlotte.
Correct. I am not from Charlotte, although most of my life has been spent in Charlotte, very transparently, but I do take a pride in the fact that I was born in New Jersey, which sounds funny. It's a funny sentence saying you take pride in being from New Jersey. But it's true, because I think that's where so much of my love of food and gathering, and even this sort of like worldliness, being so close to New York City. My dad worked in the city growing up. I would go see Broadway shows. I would go to restaurants. I would go to museums and the American Girl doll factory. Like all of that was around me. That was my environment. And so I remember just like as a kid being so energized by opportunity like that happened in New York City. And then I would come home to my cozy little borough in New Jersey, and we would have pizza night and we would do pasta nights with our neighbors. And it was very communal. It was very, it was kind of like the slow pace outside of the city, which is like a perfect balance for me. So I absolutely take so much pride in being from that area.
Well, you should. You should always take pride in where you're from. But it probably did inform a lot of your writing later on, because you were so exposed to so many different cultures and cuisines being in that arm reach of New York, being like so close, like the stone's throw away. How did that sort of, shape what you're interested in ultimately writing?
Yeah, such a good question. And it's funny because it's all, as we all know, as I'm sure you know, interviewing so many people over your career, like the way that career works is so nonlinear. And writing has always been a part of my life. Like it's sort of been like just ever present, but it's not usually the thing that is most present, which is really interesting. So when you ask how, being outside New York has shaped my career, like really, I had spent so much of my life being an actor, actually, which I didn't even tell you.
No.
Yeah, so I
many layers of Kayleigh.
Many layers. She keeps going. She really keeps going. And yeah, I like grew up being surrounded by art and Broadway and theater, and I just wanted to perform. And I think like when you distill it a little bit down and connect it back to writing now, it's all really about capturing an emotion and sharing that and making it relatable and digestible to people. And that's what acting is. You're feeling a big emotion and you're sharing it in a way that can touch other people. That's what writing is to me too. And so I'm at this place in my life right now where I'm no longer acting. I have so much love for it, like in the past, and like I'm always performing. Like I'm always putting on a little show with my friends, or being active on my Instagram and writing poetry and doing spoken word, like stuff like that. I'm performing, but I'm no longer pursuing acting because at the end of the day, it takes me outside of myself, and I realize like the thing that I love is sharing parts of myself with the world around me, not in like an ego way, but that's just kind of like we're all kind of put on this planet and we have like little things we're meant to do. And I just think I'm meant to kind of share some of my experiences with different audiences. And that's how I found writing. I kept going back to, I'd do an acting gig, right? Like I would fly out to LA. I lived in LA for 6 years and grew up going there over the summers. That's also how I got into kind of food and travel and all this. But
okay. So wait. Yeah. So let's back up. So you were in New Jersey, and then you performed there. You got into acting, and I think that as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, you're a storyteller. You like to tell stories in many different ways. Like you talked about expressing yourself on stage, doing plays and writing, and then also expressing yourself on the page too.
Yes, totally.
So when you actually moved from New Jersey to California, was that for college or?
Yeah, so it was New Jersey to Charlotte.
Okay. New Jersey to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay.
New Jersey to Charlotte. So then I went to middle and high school here.
Oh, okay.
And
local that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like most of my life I've spent in Charlotte, but I still feel that like, those pivotal 9 years in New Jersey, like those are really big life-shaping years, in kind of like a subconscious way. But then I was in Charlotte, did a lot of theater here, did a lot of acting here, and was super, super into school. Like very, very into being a nerd and being like, trying to be an overachiever and the whole college prep, the whole thing, which I look back on now and I'm like, girl, you wasted so much energy on it because
just worrying about college. Where did you go to school here?
I went to UCLA.
Well, I know, but like here in Charlotte.
Charlotte Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you did have to, do a lot of prep in order to get into UCLA. Congratulations, by the way, Bruin.
Thank you very much. Well, I took a unique path. I graduated high school and I actually took a gap year.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
You know what? Okay, let's stop here and talk about this for a second because I think that this is so important. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, like I don't think enough. Now the Western, when I say Western, I mean like United States, like because I know it's very prominent in Europe, and so I think that the United States like students are starting to figure out now they need a gap year. I mean, because you learn so much and sometimes you're just not ready to go on to college or figure out what your track is. Yeah. And I mean, the Europeans have it right. My cousin's visiting from London right now and she's taken some time off too to do like interesting things in between. And I think once you go back, your focus is a little bit more, I think, clear and committed. Would you say?
Absolutely. It's such a good observation. I think like a gap year is an opportunity to kind of zoom out and gain perspective. And coming from a very kind of traditional background or environment, suburbia, going to Charlotte Catholic. I mean, I'm so grateful for that experience and the privilege I had to go to that. But it just felt so much like a narrow path. And I just had this voice that was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. Like, I'm not supposed to be continuing on this path. And I was going to go to Chapel Hill, which is a great school, but so many people from my high school were going.
Everyone was going.
Like, I had like a great high school experience. It wasn't like I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
It was just like, I had always felt this draw to taking an alternative path. And my parents were very supportive of it. And the gap year sort of was this perfect solution because at the time, my acting career, which I was doing like simultaneously with my like academic stuff, was like having momentum. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's go out to LA and like try to pursue acting and take classes and live alone and travel and do your thing. So when I was 18 years old, I lived in an apartment by myself in LA. I worked at a spin studio for money and learned to make friends. I did improv. I did a lot of acting classes and so many auditions. And I traveled alone to Colorado and to Joshua Tree. And I was like 18 and 19 years old, which is so funny, which is like, I was so, looking back on it, like I was so brave and bold, and now I'm 26 and I'm like, I'm still brave and bold, but as you get older, I feel like those big kind of like leaps of faith are much harder to make because it feels more like more of a serious decision about the trajectory of your life.
And there's a lot more to lose as you get older, because you have the investment in your time and your career and then maybe your family. So I always say too, definitely take those leaps of faith because I did a similar thing. Like I went cross country after high school actually with my girlfriend. Oh, cool. And it was just, we were 18 years old. And I mean, now if my 10-year-old daughter 8 years from now is like, I'm going to go cross country, Mom, the answer is probably no. I mean, it was a different world back then, but
it is.
Just to get in a car, not have a plan, and we didn't have cell phones, and Yeah, just a map. We had to learn how to read a map.
Oh my
But
gosh.
everything that, you take, all the risks that you take, skydiving, hang gliding, all those things that I did. Yeah, I was younger. But as you get older and especially with family, it's tough to make those decisions. You have a lot more risk.
Yeah.
So good for you. So you
Thank
went to Colorado. You saw a lot of the western part of the United States.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, lived your life and, didn't have anyone to answer to. So that also makes for good storytelling. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely, I wrote so much over my gap year.
Did you?
I wrote a little poetry chapbook. I tried to get it published or for some award. Of course, didn't happen, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that for me, just creating something brings
right.
the satisfaction to me.
Right.
It doesn't need to win any awards or anything. I just
because you write for the sake of writing.
Yes, yes.
What did you write about for that contest, that specific one?
That's a good question.
Do you remember?
It was a long time ago. It was just a collection of various poems,
Okay.
and I think it was really all about leaving what I've known and entering a new chapter of my life, and kind of this, I'll never forget, I took this writing class free through the public library in Charlotte, and I had written a poem about, and this is years later, but about how thoughts just kind of come and go in your mind and they feel so intense. And a fellow writer in that class who's a therapist was like, "Oh, you're writing about the rough and tumble of consciousness."
Oh.
And I loved that phrase. And I think that a lot of my poetry back then was also just about the rough and tumble of consciousness, of how to sit with many truths at once, how to have insecurity and confidence, how to be in love but want freedom, all of the things at the same time coexisting. So I think that's probably what I was trying to get at. But looking back on them, I don't think that they're very good. But that's okay.
But that's okay because it opened up a world of writing for you, and it informed some things that you were interested in probably pursuing later. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like you learned a lot about yourself. How did your gap year then lead to maybe a different kind of success in your college years? Do you feel like you would have done just as well in college if you hadn't taken the gap year?
What an insightful question. Yes, I think so. So it's funny. It's I see the value in my gap year less from what I did during my gap year and actual things that came from that, but rather that it kind of took me off the original path, and it kind of propelled me into a different world. It just got me to California, got me to LA, got me to a different worldview and a different perspective of life than what I had been having in North Carolina. So, I had a lot of loneliness during my gap year. It wasn't easy, and I can't say pinpoint, what came from my gap year. But what it did give me was an independence, an ability to take care of myself. And it also gave me a sincere thirst for community and involvement when I got to college. So many of my friends, when they went straight to college, were just there to party and drink and stay in their same friend groups from high school and do the sorority stuff. And I was coming from, honestly, a time of massive loneliness in my gap year, and a time of really trying so hard to figure out, what I want. Is it acting? Is it school? Whatever. And I made that leap to choose school and do UCLA. And I was like, all right, we're going 100% in. And it really motivated me to be I wasn't really messing around, in college.
You were more focused.
By any means. I was definitely more focused, and not even just focused on my academics, but focused on oh my gosh, I can have community here. I can be involved. I can feel important here. I felt like such a floater on my gap year. And what I learned about myself was that I need structure, actually. But I also need freedom. How to have both, I don't know.
That's right. But that's really insightful because you found a place then. Mm-hmm. You were able to go out, explore what you like to do, see different things.
Yeah.
And that goes back to our topic. I mean, that's what travel does.
Yes.
It really makes you see things with new eyes. And so when you got to college, you were really able to dig in and take the experience for what a college experience is worth and why it has value, because it does foster independence, independent thinking, independent living, and, just also gives you an alternative of seeing different options for what your life map may look like.
Yes.
So that's wonderful that you went in there with that lens of being able to see those things instead of being distracted with all the partying and stuff, which I'm sure you did your fair share of too.
Yeah, we had fun. It was really just like a lot of wine nights with my girlfriends.
A lot of wine. That's right. So you started writing too in UCLA, and did you work for the school newspaper?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I wrote for the school newspaper. I'm laughing when I told you I was focused. Like literally before classes started my freshman year of college, I was applying to the paper. Because I knew I wanted to write. I knew I was always going to write.
Yeah.
And my focus was like food and community when I was, 19. Campus culture, the new coffee shop opening, composting, environment, like anything kind of like food, health, environment related. And yeah, I wrote for them my entire time at college. It was more kind of like feature writing. It wasn't breaking news. It was more, we had weeks to write our stories. I would probably publish 2 or 3 a quarter. But it really gave me a strong foundation. And honestly, the editing and the editors at Daily Bruin were so good. I learned so much about journalism because really I didn't have any journalism experience. In high school, I didn't do any journalism. And I also, in school, I wasn't studying journalism. I was studying more of like a health anthropology degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And which involved a lot of writing, but not journalism. And so I really learned how to interview people, how to edit, how to get to the point with my writing through Daily Bruin.
Right. And I mean, I think that's what college is worth now. I mean, besides learning new things, you really hone life skills, which you may or may not use. I mean, I think back to my undergraduate degree at William & Mary. I was an econ major. And so when I was reading some of your work, especially one recent article about your late night escapades here in Charlotte, you mentioned diminishing marginal utility. And I said, you know what? I know exactly what that means. I feel like I have that, on a daily basis, but for many different things. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what it does. Like when you are exposed to different classes and go to and learn from different people, you learn different skill sets that you can use in the real world, regardless of what your undergraduate degree is. 100%. And so then how did you get back to Charlotte from California?
Yeah. So again, weird wonky path, but I graduated UCLA in 3 years. I was kind of a COVID time student, and I was able to graduate early, which was great. And then I started working in restaurants, as we do. And I was obsessed with the restaurant industry. I had so much fun being 22, 23 years old, working in the restaurants. There's so much romance. There's so much dynamic nature. There's just so much. I mean, I'm just so
chaos too.
Yeah, chaos too. But I'm obsessed with that. Like that's what feeds me and fuels me is like anything that is dynamic and keeps me on my feet. And so restaurants are like that for me. And then I actually got to start writing for the Restaurants magazine called Botanica Magazine. I had reached, I talked to my managers and the owners who were former food writers and said, this is something I really want. It's one of the reasons I wanted to work at the restaurant is because I knew that they were food writers. And I was like, oh my God, icons. And because of that, I got to interview some of like the coolest people in LA that I would have never gotten to interview, like even being in Charlotte right now with way more publications under my belt. But Botanica had such a good reputation that I was able to like interview cool farmers and purveyors and woman entrepreneurs. So yeah, it was just like such a great experience. And then I was dating someone at the time and we decided to move back to Charlotte. He got a job at the Hornets and we were both from Charlotte. So
that's convenient.
Yes. So we decided to take the leap. I think I just wanted to I didn't have a want. I didn't know. I didn't know where to go next. Because restaurants weren't going to be forever. And I didn't see a path toward having a full-time job in LA. It felt very like freelancey.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were just looking for opportunity.
Opportunity. And I felt like Charlotte was a good place to build.
For sure.
And 3 years later, it absolutely has been.
Well, why do you think that is? What do you think it is about Charlotte that allows you for this runway of success that you couldn't necessarily find in Los Angeles or in California?
That's something I'm very, very passionate about talking about with people is that people kind of give Charlotte a hard time for not being creative or not having a big enough stage for creative voices. And I think that you have the ability to create your own stage here. If it doesn't exist, you can create it. And there are resources in Charlotte, like Charlotte is Creative and these local publications that really do want to advocate for creatives. But it's not, people aren't drawn to Charlotte as this like place to be creative. They're drawn to New York and LA, but do you want to blend into the culture or do you want to shape the culture? And that's this phrase that I keep thinking about with Charlotte is like, you can actually make change here and you can have an active say in something. I've been living in Charlotte as an adult for not even 3 years. I've been writing for about 2.5 and then writing seriously for about 1.5.
Okay.
And in that time, I have felt so much momentum, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really not a lot of time.
No, it's not. It's not. You've been able to take off. And you know what? I totally agree with this because I've also found, just being here, I moved here during the pandemic and it was a tough time to be, new in a city like this because, obviously you couldn't meet a lot of people. I couldn't interview for any jobs. I just gotten off of being an elected official in Virginia and I wanted to get back into writing. I've been writing for 25 years, so I wanted to get back into it. And it was very difficult to meet, the editors, to pitch yourself. And then once the opportunities happened through other organizations, it was like one after another, right?
Yes.
The momentum, like what you were talking about.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I met Ballantine Magazine and then I met SouthPark Magazine and all these other ones. And just the opportunities kept coming because I feel like people really do when they see your work and it's quality work as you have good quality work, you do your research, you write well, you know how to use the written word properly. And so I think that once you get that reputation within the magazines, people are uplifting and they lift you up and they say, sure, I know this writer, I'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah.
And then I think the editors also do their due diligence and they see your writing and say, hey, I really liked your piece and such and such. So it is really interesting that I think it makes for an environment where you can climb quicker.
I agree. And I'm so glad that you've had that experience as well. I think, there's not a lot of freelance writers in Charlotte that I know of, but I think banding together and being advocates for each other. And I've absolutely seen that. I think more than anything, even going back to acting, I felt like all of this, the success and the agency and the momentum was so outside of myself. Like I felt like you could be the best actor in the world and doesn't mean anything. And same with writing. But I think one article published is going to create momentum.
That's wonderful.
And,
whereas in other cities, maybe it would get lost. Is that what you're saying?
I think it would get lost. And the other thing is that there's just less people trying to do the same thing. At the end of the day.
For now.
Who knows?
Because we have so many people moving here every day with different talents.
And I think the younger generation is here in Charlotte. I'm obsessed with them. Like I'm obsessed with these people my age that are entrepreneurs and are creators and are like banding together and doing like pop-ups and collaborative things together and dinners. And I'm like, yes, like the future of Charlotte is actively being shaped as we speak. And I'm really seeing it in people in their early 20s to their mid 30s. I'm like, let's go, guys. Like you left New York and you came back to Charlotte. You left LA, you came back to Charlotte. And I think that we're really building something.
That's exciting. That's exciting to be part. So I always feel like there's two types of people. The people who like to come in and just absorb what's there and then, make it their own and try to leverage it. And then there's people that come in and say, what's not here that we can build. Yeah. And then, be part of building something because that's a big investment. And I think a lot of creators are here in Charlotte, but they're creators who are also makers. And they want to make something special that's lasting, sustainable, durable, so that the next generation or the newer generation or even new people that are coming from different places with ideas can take it and run with it and make the environment better for us. It's kind of like that whole macroeconomic theory of the rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes. And that comes up so many times, I can't even tell you.
Really?
When I interview chefs, when I interview these business owners in Charlotte, the younger ones I'm talking about, that phrase, rising tide lifts all ships, comes up over and over again because I think that is the direction Charlotte is moving. And the other thing I wanted to add to that was like, where these people are exposing the general Charlottean to a new set of values. I think like I've written a lot about why certain restaurants don't succeed or why, whatever it is. And a lot of it comes down to Charlotte's core values. Like, there's so much diversity in Charlotte. You can't boil down the average Charlottean. But if you did, their value might not be risk-taking, freedom, adventure, and spontaneity. It's the core businesses here are kind of structured and stable and in some ways traditional, right? So these new entrepreneurs, these new voices, these new creators and makers have the potential to show the average Charlottean that there's other ways of existing in this world and breathing new life into this city, and making it hip and fun and cool and weird. I think it's happening.
Yes, absolutely. And you're part of shaping that culture too. So
Thank
good
you.
for you.
Thank
Good
you.
for you. Well, my guest today is Kayleigh Ruller. She is a food and travel freelance writer, but also works full-time in luxury travel marketing. So let's talk a little bit about that. We haven't even gotten into that.
Sorry, I'm going on and on.
No, but it's good because all of this stuff informs our writing. You've already talked about how you have interviewed many chefs to see chefs and probably other entrepreneurs to talk about how they survive in this environment and how they add to it and create an environment where we're all successful. But let's talk a little bit deeper now about the travel industry. Tell me a little bit about this marketing firm that you're part of and how it helps people see the world.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So I work, so this is a relatively new job I've taken on. And I credit my freelance travel and food writing to getting this job. They were looking for someone that had a strong writing background to really build brand identity and build out this blog that we'll be launching in August 2025. So the company is called Ovation Network, and it is a travel agency that's been around for 35 years. And it is a network for luxury leisure travel. So our clients are often like high net worth individuals that go on extravagant escapes.
Are we talking like White Lotus, Four Seasons business?
100%.
That kind of experience?
Definitely, 100%.
Or the new St. Regis cruise ship?
Yep.
Okay, that's coming out.
That's exactly what we're talking about here. These really high-end luxury experiences. And so, I work in the marketing department, which is really small. So I do social media, I do blog writing, I help with building out the website, even have some really fun trips planned. I'm going to Vegas in August for a big travel conference called Virtuoso Travel Week. And then I'm going to Quebec for a travel writers conference in October.
Wow.
Got another conference in the Bahamas in October. Like, this is such a fun job for me because I get to, it combines what I care about, which is like travel and food. And really, at the end of the day, I kind of boil all that down to like hospitality. Like, I'm interested in hospitality. And then writing and creativity. Boop. And there we have it.
Perfect.
And so I've been having so much fun working with our travel advisors and with our stakeholders and learning more about this luxury leisure travel because I'm a huge traveler myself. But the way I would describe my travel rating and my style of traveling is I like nice things, don't get me wrong. I like boutique, I like bed and breakfast, I love like really nice high touch concierge. But at the same time, I love finding kind of the nitty gritty and I like a dive bar and I like, I want to like make my own food in the kitchen sometimes. And so this is a different world of traveling that truthfully I didn't grow up with. Like me and my parents our traveling was like doing cross-country road trips in our like 4Runner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and really, staying at Hampton Inns. But
right. But at least seeing things. You saw like the culture along the way, because I actually talked to, where I was talking to my daughter about this. We didn't travel the way that we travel now with her back then. It was the pop-up van that like broke down on the side of the road. But we saw a lot of the country and we learned a lot of the stories about this country along the way. And so you take those experiences, you elevate, your style and your lifestyle and whatnot, and then you try to find those stories within maybe that luxury landscape.
Yeah.
So is that what you feel like you're doing now with your travel?
Absolutely. I think, I want to add one thing about the early exposure to travel.
Right.
Which is that I'm so grateful for my travel experiences because I've seen, particularly in America,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen how other worldviews can be shaped. I see the affluent areas, and I see, impoverished areas, and I see the sort of systems that lead people to these situations, and I think having exposure to that is so important as you become an adult and form your own opinions. You can have like empathy, and you can have like a better understanding of like not everyone grew up in a perfect, pretty bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, yeah, and along those lines, I mean, I actually wrote an article in SouthPark Magazine about this, but I want to get your take on it.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think right now travel is about with families? Because, when we, like you were talking about, when both of us grew up, I mean, I traveled a lot internationally because my father had a company that he was trying to build all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But we traveled, he went there for business. But we did whatever, my parents could afford outside and go to see. We went to see, the local landmarks like the pyramids, but we didn't get to ride the camel. Or, we went to, around the city of London, but we didn't do it on, a nice air conditioned, car.
Right.
We did it on a bus, a double decker. We thought it was great. So nowadays, though, kids pick places that they've seen on Instagram, or they pick like experiences that they think are cool because other people are talking about it, and parents cater to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your take on how families should travel now and still somehow manage to let their kids see the real world?
Yeah, such an important thing, right? Because for so many people, travel is really about vacation and blinders on, I'm chilling in the sun. And I understand that, right? Because people are living hard lives and they work their big jobs and it's hard.
Right.
My personal perspective is that travel is like so much more than just like sitting and laying in the nice resort. I think having that as a home base, freaking phenomenal. But I think going out and experiencing the world is like the number one reason you travel is to learn and to be exposed to alternative ways of living and thinking and being. And so with the question about families, I mean, it's funny, we're working on a whole newsletter about like family travel and kids clubs right now. So it seems that a lot of hotels are leaning into having kids clubs.
Yes.
Which I think is cool. I think the ideal family travel experience right now I don't have kids, so I don't know. This is just my outsider perspective, is that there has to be something both for the parents and the adults and for the kids that are both, it's not like babysitting club and parents go out and party, but they're both like equally immersive. Like the kids get to go on a guided kayaking tour with the counselor while the parents get to do their private wine tasting. I think like if we're, in the world of luxury we're talking about, right? But like, I think having like truly immersive experiences for both age groups and both parties to kind of experience separately, I think is good because family travel, people can be getting on each other's nerves. So I think,
and it allows the kids to grow too, and they have a little bit of independence that they can,
and not be complaining. Like you have to go, like go on the kayaking tour. You're gonna like get a little grit, and you're gonna learn a little something, and then you can come back and we can have dinner or whatever. So that would be my experience. I think like hotels really leaning into kids clubs that are like not just like, again, babysitting, but actual activities that are rooted in the culture and the location, I think is awesome. Yeah,
I think that's beautiful. And I think, now with a young daughter myself, that's the kind of locations that I try to pick. We've done a gamut too. The luxury one, we took her. Actually, it was our anniversary trip, so normally she wouldn't come on something like this, but we went to the Maldives, and we picked a resort that actually had a kids club that took the kids snorkeling.
Oh my gosh, cool.
And they went deep sea fishing, and they didn't catch anything. They were just like fooling around. But they went fishing, they went snorkeling, they went to a sandbar where the parents then could go to, the dinners, and we could explore the island a little bit, and the motu, as they call it. So we did pick a place, but it was very insular and it was luxury. But then in the meantime, I told my husband, I said, we need to be thinking about the fact that we need to start picking locations too that have opportunities for her to see how other people live.
Yeah.
And so then we went to Panama, and instead of doing like, the yacht tour, we actually walked through the jungle, and she looked up and saw and counted the sloths in the trees.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we put ourselves outside of our own comfort zone, what we feel like, we've worked so hard, just like you were saying, everyone works their big job and has like, the long, hard work day experiences. So they want to just relax and be pampered. But on the other hand, are you serving yourself and your child when you're picking places where they're being handed everything instead of going out to like find and explore? And my daughter counted 10 sloths that day, and she wanted to take that path to the primitive beach instead of taking the boat,
Yeah.
So I think that it's about location too.
No, it absolutely is. And I think, choosing the right hotel that has those experiences are important, but also even like complementing a luxury experience with a little like pre-trip, do it your own, like do it on your own kind of experience where like maybe you have the nice resort at the end of your trip, but you dedicate the first 3 days of your travel to camping or to, staying in a smaller bed and breakfast where you get to actually get the feel of a culture and meet people. And
that's really smart. Like split it up. That's a good idea. Is that the kind of thing that your marketing group does? Is kind of tailor that experience
100%.
where you can do that, like culture in
Yeah.
the front, and then like maybe more of like a luxury experience in the back? Or?
Yeah, I mean, our advisors are like experts at what they do, and they work one-on-one with clients to craft their dream itinerary. So there's really no set way of crafting an itinerary. Our advisors through our Ovation Network partnership programs have great relationships with several preferred partner hotels, big names that you would know about and Four Seasons and such. So, to get kind of VIP perks and experiences. So that is fabulous. But also they listen to client needs. So if a client wants to have a more under the radar, off the grid experience, they'll make it happen.
They can make it happen. That's right. Yeah. And it's also important, I think, now to tailor it, like you were talking about, more customizable, and just ask the client, what is your family interested in? What serves you? Because everyone's going X, Y, and Z. Maybe everyone's going to the Greek islands or, Portugal right now is a hot spot.
Yeah.
But if your kid is interested in rock formations, I mean, are those the places that you should actually be going? So what are some of the, there's also, they can choose the Grand Canyon or something that really serves them. So what are some of the hot spots right now that people are going to? What are you seeing in the trends?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add also that, talking about family travel, I've been talking to advisors, and one of our head of leisure travel just went to Travel and Leisure's World's Best Summit in New York. And multi-generational travel is very much trending right now, meaning grandparents to infants.
Really?
Yes. And so finding destinations and experiences in hotels that fit the needs of a 75-year-old to a 7-month-old is super important.
Oh gosh, I need to know where these places are.
Yeah, me too. But talking to advisors, some trending destinations right now, kind of more inland of Greece. People are obsessed with Norway. People are obsessed with, I'm personally obsessed with Comporta, Portugal. There's a gorgeous resort there, Sublime Comporta. Oh, so nice. And
have you written about that yet?
I'm writing for it for Ovation Network. I've created a destination guide for Comporta.
Nice.
And going to be doing some features on them for social, but I haven't written for a publication. And I have to be mindful of that. I guess I have to figure out that balance of doing freelance travel writing, but also I still have to write travel for my job.
For your job.
So I would say, like you said, parts of Portugal. I'm also really interested in safe areas for solo female travel. I know that that's a huge trend right now is the solo travelers are on the rise. And also these travelers are looking for, again, not just this basking in the sun experience, but travelers are really craving a deep sense of place. And they get that through cuisine. They get that through one-on-one interactions with the people in the culture. They're craving an authentic experience. So I think actually people are looking less for these buttoned up destinations, but rather these kind of under the radar, nice landing spots where they can actually experience culture. And the hotel doesn't have your classic American food, but actually embraces the cuisine of the culture there. So
yeah, and that is so important. I mean, one of the things that when I was writing about, what travel does for you, because I tend to look at travel through a lens of it's not travel is we need to reframe the way we think of travel, really. And you talk about all these amazing places that are very luxurious, but also can allow you to dig deep into the culture. But I think for some people, like travel is just, they feel like it's out of reach. And we really need to do a better job, I think, in the industry in general, of talking about how travel is not necessarily a luxury experience. It's a mental health experience.
Yes.
And it does things for your brain. I mean, in the article, I talked about how there's actually research that says that travel is good for brain health because it doesn't matter where the place is, just trying something different, sends off different neural pathways in your brain. And it basically signals like so many different experiences and pheromones and things like that. So when you're talking about like sampling the cuisine and whatnot, you really find out if, travel, you really find out, what you like. It makes you more of yourself.
Yes, I so agree with that.
Right? I mean,
think it's so cool.
Yeah, it makes you more of yourself because you might not have never known, who eats like, X, Y, and Z food. You could say like, who eats eggplant curry, here at home, here in Charlotte. But when you go to a place like India or the Philippines or Indonesia and you taste it and you like it, all of a sudden that that actually like shows you that you are the type of person that actually likes that kind of cuisine. And what else do you like? And so it kind of opens up more of who you are.
I completely agree. That's why I've always loved travel. And it's also made me appreciate home more in a way too. You come home and you say, okay, I want to integrate what I learned from this experience into my daily life. Like when I went to London last year and in Scotland, like I got home and I couldn't stop doing afternoon teas. And I loved it.
That's right.
And
now what do you do here to like sort of to scratch that itch?
I have afternoon tea.
You do?
Yes,
you
I hosted a whole afternoon tea party with my friends when I returned, and I made biscuits and had jam and marmalade and toast. Like,
oh my gosh.
I'm such a, I love to gather and I love a themed gathering. And so I think like bringing these experiences back to actually share with your community is amazing.
I love that. I love that. So that makes like a full circle loop.
To yourself, right? And I want to touch on what you're saying about like the kind of unreachable luxury experience. I'm talking about these luxury experiences because that's what I like follow and familiar with, but like in for work. But that's not something like I haven't at 26 years old haven't experienced the utmost luxury in my life. Like most of my travel experiences have been very grounded. And I want to say that you can travel. Going 45 minutes away from your home is traveling.
That's right.
And it is different than what you know. And I find myself refreshed even if I just go up to Davidson for a day from Charlotte. I see, okay, the pace is different here. The art is different here. The coffee is different here. Like there's whatever is local, whatever is true, right? We talk about sense of place, like sense of places exist in each little neighborhood in Charlotte and in North Carolina. And North Carolina's rich in travel experiences. I've written a lot about North Carolina and South Carolina travel, and I love the Carolinas. You can get so much just in North and South Carolina, whether that is marshy, low country, old homes to gorgeous mountain cabins in Western North Carolina. You get so much diversity in a short distance. So I just want to encourage people that it can be attainable. It really can be.
I love that because I think that message definitely needs to be heard because it does so much for our mental health and our awareness that even just like you said, a change of environment changes the visceral experience that your body has.
Yes. It's so physical.
Yeah, it is. It really does. I mean, I think that, and I love this idea, but your mind actually, doesn't. Your mind might know the difference, about where you go, whether it's like an overwater bungalow or like, a farm outside of, Charlotte in North Carolina. But your body doesn't care. Your body wants that experience. And it responds to that, about putting yourself in a different environment. Because you think about how you just like so easily take the same route to work. You mindlessly like drive there. Sometimes you're running through a red light. You don't even know because you're thinking about something else. You're on autopilot in a way.
Yeah, it takes you off autopilot.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right.
That's
great that you encourage through your writing people.
Oh, yeah.
You encourage people to just go outside of their comfort zone, even if it is like 45 minutes away.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because it does amazing things. What are some of your, and we're going to be wrapping up here in a little bit, but what are some of your favorite destinations locally and also internationally?
Yeah.
And where would you like to go?
Great question. Locally, I love Highlands, North Carolina. I love,
The Old Edwards?
I love Old Edwards, but no, this one is new. It's the Outpost Inn.
Oh, the Outpost Inn.
I love it.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I love it there. And then the Highlander Mountain House.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, obsessed with both.
Nice.
Fabulous hospitality. And I went in October and it was just like, magnificent trees.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
hikes and cozy wine bars. So I love Highlands. I've spent a lot of time in like Beaufort and Bluffton, South Carolina.
Okay.
Love the nature there. I love the low draping mossy trees. I mean, it's so stunning. And randomly, my boyfriend is really into, well, it's not random that he's into golf, but it's random that suddenly I'm into golf. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a fun little experience. I'm not an athlete. I've never played sports, but he's teaching me how to play golf. And I'm like, oh my gosh, golf is a whole world of travel that I've never experienced before. And I used to make fun of golf. Like I was not like,
well, it's like going back to what we talked about. You learn more of yourself. Like, oh, I actually like this. Maybe it's not the eggplant curry, but it's golf in your case.
Which is like so funny. But I'm like, ooh, the idea of like working on something over time and getting slowly better. Like I'm coming from zero experience.
Wow.
And just being outside and these courses are gorgeous. I'm like, I'm into it. And then other areas in North Carolina. Obviously, I'm a huge Asheville fan, particularly for the cuisine. In the restaurant scene there. Oh, so cool. And the local produce. And then where else was I recently?
And these are all like, a few hours away driving, right?
Oh,
Not
a few
even
hours away.
Less
I drive
than 3
everywhere.
hours.
I drive
right.
everywhere.
Right.
I was also just last week I was visiting Crossroads in Virginia.
Okay.
And that's near Pippin Hill Vineyard, and like you could have been fooled that you were in Europe. Seriously, like the vineyards are gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I just think locally there's so much to explore. And then I'd say my favorite city ever is Rome. I love Rome. See, I'm telling you, I like dynamic. I like chaos. I like grit. Rome has that for me.
It's got all of it. I'm
like, give me a Campari Spritz, give me a carbonara. Let's go. Like, give me the art. Very feminine. Very, I'm not like a practicing Catholic, but having all the like Catholic imagery is like very nostalgic for me growing up in Catholic school. And like, it just I'm very drawn to that type of art and that type of, so hospitality forward, but also a little gritty. I love it. I also love New York City.
Old world.
For that reason.
Yeah. Very old world. New York City has that too.
And then I also traveled to, when I was in Italy, I was in La Marche, which is a gorgeous region on the eastern side of Italy near the Adriatic Sea. And it's an amazing wine growing region, and it feels like it's untouched, and like there's just a giant castle in La Marche and no one is speaking English, and it's just very, very old world, it feels like. But it's lovely. So I love Italy. And then a dream destination. I also love Montana, by the way.
Yes. Thank you. Montana is like otherworldly to all of us in the United States that are looking for something that just kind of extricates us from everyday life.
Totally.
I mean, it's been found now through so many, shows and Yellowstone, but it's still very untouched.
I love Montana.
Yeah.
I worked in Glacier National Park for
beautiful.
for 3 months, and I worked at a hotel.
Oh, nice.
and-
That's the only place I've been. I've actually only been to Whitefish, but fell in
that's
love
where I
with
worked.
it. Oh, you did?
I love Whitefish so much.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. Yeah, I lived there for 3 months, and I love that experience. I'm also like, again, right, like I love luxury travel, talking about it, but like my experience is coming from like I was working at a front desk at a hotel.
Okay.
You know, and I work on the floor at restaurants. Like I have I believe that you can get
down on the ground experience.
Yeah, down on the ground experience. And I believe you can get luxury experiences by finding alternative paths, such as working at the luxury hotel.
I love that. I love that. And especially like for people who are starting out, you know, who are younger in their 20s, I think that that's a great entry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seasonal work I was doing like seasonal work, and that's like such a thing for people in their early 20s.
Well, that's a way to see the world. If people feel like it's unattainable, that's a way. You just insert yourself in like a luxury hotel doing work.
Yes.
And
Just find a way. Find a way. You don't have to do it the way everyone else is doing it. Get creative about how you want to travel, and also just ask. For example, I originally got denied from the job at Glacier, and I was really confused why, because it was like I had service experience. They were looking for seasonal workers. And I think, so I just called and was like, why? And they're like, oh, I didn't see your resume because like your availability dates were like a week late.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, we'll make something work.
Right.
So just ask, right? Like ask the front desk, hey, is there any like upgrades I can get? Hey, like any chance you have a local recommendation for what hike I should do? Ask questions, and people are more than willing to help, I found.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's right. Communicate. That's what we need more of.
Always.
More travel, more dining, more communicating, and more tea.
Yes. More tea.
More tea. Kayleigh, thank you so much for spending the afternoon here with me. And I think it is about tea time. So
yes, it is.
We should wrap it up. But we look forward to seeing more of your writing in SouthPark Magazine and all over the city. And can't wait to see where you're going next, my friend.
Thank you. You are incredible. What a wonderful interview. I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. And for more on Kayleigh's writing, please pick up this month's issue of SouthPark Magazine, the July 2025 issue. Or you can read it online at southparkmagazine.com. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Bye.